Welcome, listeners, to the ArtSlice Museum Laboratories Division of Color Theory and Color Studies.
ArtSlice Museum LDCTC.
I'm Russell Shoemaker.
I'm Stephanie Duenas. And a little later on, we will be joined by the one, the only...
The pinkest of the pink.
Stuart Semple.
Hello, it's amazing to be here with you.
Our Pontrymons have been hard at work compiling data from your different experiences with colors, listeners.
Here in the ArtSlice Museum LDCTC, we're going to touch on the history of color theory, talk about the history of the pigments behind the paint,
then get into ours, and most importantly, your associations with those colors, listeners. Because if you're an artist, an art admirer, a designer,
if you're Justin Thoreau pouring pink paint into a box of fine jewelry,
or if you're just a Barbie girl living in a Barbie world, color impacts you in ways that are obvious and not so obvious.
So today,
come on, Barbie.
We're going
Let's go party.
We're going to be discussing our most controversial color yet, at least in the Eurocentric West, pink.
The color of not just pink cheeks, flowers, and scars, but saltwater taffy, Pepto-Bismol, erasers, amoxicillin for children, snubble.
Hey.
And those delicious frosted animal cookies
God.
that you eat the entire bag of.
As patron the Viridian Killer put it,
thank you, VK.
Quote, there is so much to say about pink. Pink is the only color in today's Western culture that all we do is add white to one primary color, red, and give it another name. Then treat and act like it's a completely different color from its origin. All that pink is light red.
I like that cut through the bullshit, VK. But that also made me realize that I separate light red from pink like all the time. Like I tend to think of capital P pink as in like plastic hot pink toys, you know? Or it's almost muted. I don't really know what to call it. It's like kind of like a Palm Springs pink,
Ooh.
You know, that muted bubblegum color
Yes.
that I like. Not like the dirty bubblegum pink of Philip Guston. Guston. But those original pinks, the earthier natural pinks, I'm talking like the pinkish dirt in Cambodia. I don't always equate those with pink.
Natch pink.
Earthy natch pink.
Speaking of earthy natch pink, that color actually reminds me of Bologna in Italy.
Okay.
The buildings are kind of pink. They're kind of red, somewhere in between.
It's like a pink terracotta.
Yes.
Okay.
It's actually, they're made...
Or a kitten nose pink.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. That's maybe. It's actually like, they think of bologna in America.
Okay. That's a better
your lunch
analogy.
meat. Yeah, your lunch meat. But a nickname for the city is La Rosa, which is red. Like, because the buildings are red, but I think they're pink.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, fond memories having a belly full of bolognese, pasta bolognese.
Yeah. And not kitten noses.
Yeah,
don't eat kitten noses.
Okay.
They're really cute, I know, but don't gobble them up. Don't gobble up those kitten noses.
Don't gobble them up.
Don't gobble them up.
Don't gobble them up.
But anyway, that all means that, like, because I equate pink as like plastic pink to pink, that American consumerism has done a job on me. But reading your answers, listeners, and talking to Stuart, you've sharpened my eye for the pink. I'm spotting pink everywhere.
Definitely sharpened my eye as well, as these episodes do.
Yes, thank you, listeners. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Stephanie, for giving me pink eye. You gave me the pink eye.
Okay.
You've given me the pink eye is what I'm trying to say. You all have given me pink eye, and I want to say thank you for that.
I mean, it is contagious, so
Yeah, it is.
We need to address the pink elephant in the room.
Yes.
Okay. That, as patron Dr. P put it, thank you, Dr. P. Quote.
Hey, maybe it stands for Dr. Pink.
Maybe. Probably not. Pink has such a rich and sordid history that it's still hard to separate myself from it. As a child, my face would turn as pink as the aisle of the department store I was caught in. End quote. So we're gonna try to pry pink away from its gendered implications.
Yeah, the woke pink mob trying to cancel pink taxes.
Okay.
And trying to cancel the murderous gender reveal parties, Stephanie.
They're a problem.
Yeah. How am I going to know what how am I going to tell the world the genitalia of my baby if I can't sear a majestic redwood in the color of its genitalia? While the crop duster flyer crashes into the earth and gives his life up for my child.
For shame.
My flesh and my blood. My pink flesh and blood.
We'll get into that. So, pink will tell on you, listeners. Okay, it brings out an opposite extreme reaction in many of us that can be revealing about how we view each other and ourselves.
A unique folie à deux, Stephanie. A folie a lots of people. A mass hysteria, if you will. Okay? All over just a light red. So let's get into it, listeners. You can find all the images we are about to discuss and the images we couldn't get to because you submitted so many on our Instagram page at ArtSlicePod. Or if you are one of the few, the 0.5% of our audience who are watching us on YouTube.
We love you.
God bless you. May the pink gods bless you because, dear God, we need help over there. You can just keep watching because we're going to show you the fucking images. Like, you can just watch. We're in a pink room. If you're listening right now, come look at us. We're in a pink room, a very pink room. We spent a lot of time on this.
We did. We sure did.
I don't know who that is. Chips! The overhead projector! It's time! Chips, no.
Chips, that's the pink noise machine.
We can't even hear Chips. Okay, well, that's a TV, but
that's
all right.
The television.
It's fine. Stephanie, it's the return of that hot news segment from last year, the one the listeners have probably all forgotten about, called How We Perceive Color Chemically. Our last episode was in November. And unlike that last color we covered...
Oh, blue.
Oh, blue. Yes,
oh,
unlike blue, humans actually had a written categorization for pink in our early recorded history. In the Odyssey from 800 BBJ...
Triple BJ.
Okay, that's something different. Homer skips by ever mentioning blue, even when speaking of water. But the dawn... Homer describes as the color of rosy digits. Those rosy hues that got stuck in the subsurface Rayleigh scattering and their extra-spectral cousin, magenta, may have forced us to confront them much earlier than blue due to their connection to the faster, louder, bloodier red wavelengths. Your roses, your pinks, your purples, your magentas were a genetic variation of red pigments called anthocyanins and were attractive to certain pollinators who spread them both far and wide. Flamingo, Stephanie, turn from their baby grays to the impossible to ignore Miami coral pink. While feasting on very common carotenoid-loaded foods like fruits, crustaceans, and algae which thrive in less than ideal salty waters, turn said salty water, like the flamingos, into a blazing pink, okay? Like they turn the whole ass bodies of water when exposed to sunlight blazing pink, all in the name of photosynthesis, and chlorophyll production. So many words. This is all to say pink is one of the most common and oldest pigments available.
Well, hi there, everybody. Not much for formalities, are you?
Well, that
I'm Pinko Pigment.
Okay.
Oh, where did I come from?
Yeah.
I guess you could say I came out from under a rock. Marine shell rock, that is.
Okay.
Buried under tons and tons and tons and tons of Sahara Desert sand. You see, hundreds of millions of years ago, I was a part of a large chlorophyll network. Like that one there you just mentioned.
Right.
And we were all cruising along the supersea highways, enjoying the sunshine. And before we knew it, myself and all my Pinko friends were all trapped.
Okay.
And we found ourselves slowly being fossilized. It was terrible. You cannot fathom.
Dr. Pink.
The horror.
We need to wrap this up because we are skirting some serious copyright.
Take it to go.
Well, anyway, like I was saying, I blacked out on account of the immense pain.
That's nice.
Like a butterfly,
Okay.
I emerged from my fossilized cocoon, all pink and beautiful. After, of course, I was crushed, extracted, and analyzed by a team of scientists.
Scientists. Well, thank you, Pinky. Let's all... Okay.
It's Pinko.
Like Pinko...
Pinko Pigment.
Okay. Well, like Pinko has alluded to...
And I'm not really alluding.
Sure.
I'm telling you a factual account of my experience.
Thank you so much.
I was.
Everybody thank Pinksky for stopping by. Bye, Pinsky. Okay, well, what? Pinsky is saying it's true because it wasn't only found in remote lakes and $7 bottles of algae seltzer, land meat, slowly oxidizing myoglobin proteins cooked from blood red to pink to brown, or as far back as 100 100 BBJ, it would cure to a prosciutto pink. So it's no wonder that the term carne or meat shares cues and similar names with carnation, the flower, or that carnal used to describe desire, often for someone else's steak or T-bone or triple BJ, because pink is inseparable from our own human meats, our body carne, okay, our vessel flanks,
our meat vessel,
our meat stuff.
Okay. Listener Esther quoted a quote from Janelle Monáe about her 2018 song Pink with a Y. Quote, "Pink is a brash celebration of creation, self-love, sexuality, and pussy power. Pink is the color that unites us all, for pink is the color found in the deepest nooks and crannies of humans everywhere."
Yeah, and pink is the color of our brains, that life-giving blood that circulates through our skin's tissues. Our bodies, regardless of skin tone, have plenty of pink pigment. That's why Homer called the sky rosy-fingered or whatever. It's our most primal color. It's our most biological color.
Everybody's got some pink, and you and me. Let's get into the characteristics of pink, which covers a dizzying array of hues, saturations, and values.
Right.
So much so that it's sometimes unclear what the baseline pink, the platonic ideal version of pink, actually is.
So there are so many hues of pink. There are hues that are bluish in nature, like your periwinkle, fun to say, your ultramarine pink. Hues that skew earthy, like your classic potter's pink, you know?
A little rose granite.
Granite, sure. And hues that are orangish, like your flamingos, your corals, your salmons. And hues that seem to have that je ne sais juice, Stephanie, that extra juice, that may be magenta's redder cousin, like fuchsia or hot pink, or maybe Ronnie pink.
All of these colors, even though they don't look related, they have one thing in common, okay?
It's red.
Red.
Yeah.
Red. Pero also white.
Right.
When longtime listener at Sophia's Consto mentioned that pink reminded her of mixing up ketchup and mayo for French fry dipping, okay, yes. And she is practicing the creation of that baseline platonic ideal of pink.
Yeah, and an unholy aioli.
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay, 50% ketchup, 50% mayonesa is the best oesa.
Okay, yeah. Certain ketchups, I guess, certain red pigments just work better for pink, though. Like, I gotta disagree a little bit with VK. I'm sorry, VK.
Oh, no.
I think, you can always make a light red, but you can't always make a pink with a red pigment. There are just some red pigments that just radiate pink.
So for the question of saturation, when you look at companies that sell straight up baseline pinks, that 50-50 combo almost always means a middle-of-the-road saturation.
Yeah.
Value-wise, it's pretty much middle of the road as well, if not skewing a bit lighter.
Yeah. And that's because of the white content, right? It means that very few pinks can be transparent. They're almost always mostly opaque.
Right.
Almost always mostly opaque.
Right. Due to its red contents,
Right.
baseline pink is decisively warm and decisively organic.
However, Stephanie, when we get outside of the platonic baseline pink that you speak of, okay, and we go off into a field, maybe kind of hidden by a shrub of trees, a forest of trees that you have to kind of work your way through. A little bit of Lion and the Witch and the whatever the fuck that is. And we get into the weird, the wonderful, the multiverse, the field of multiverse of pinks, right?
Okay.
The Lester and Eliza to the Bart and Lisa. I'm talking like searing fluorescent petunias.
Okay.
They're just mutating out there in that field.
Weird field.
Their biology is going all over the place.
Okay.
Burning holes in your retinas.
Okay.
Cracking your skull open, pinks.
Okay.
Those kind of pinks, they just crack.
Okay.
Crack on the head, skull open.
Yeah.
Kind of like Holbein's Opera Pink, one of my favorites, right?
Yes.
Which is a little bit transparent, actually. Or Stuart Semple's The Pinkest Pink. These give that like hot, electric, cool radiation that kind of comes in waves.
Ooh,
you know what I mean? Like it's lapping at your heels.
Oh, I like
Your
that.
back's towards the ocean.
Gentle.
The ocean's turning pink.
But aware. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and dangerous,
Very affogato.
A little bit affogato. I like that. Yeah,
a little
affogato.
hot espresso with cool ice cream on top.
And so those colors skew psychedelic and synthetic to me. Like the petunias are bursting from your blood vessels. Like they're this digital virus. Your blood vessels are now this like neon light. It's a little bit body horror.
Okay.
They're neon pink. Your body's glowing.
All right.
You look like a magical wonderland.
Okay, I'll
Your
take.
body horror is a wonderland.
I feel electric, pink in the cheeks.
Speaking of the Pinkest Pink, if you recall our episode on black, a certain egoista, Anish
Name
Kapoor,
redacted. Okay.
who was not at all
Highly
compensating
litigious.
And no one will violate your rights.
for any personal shortcomings,
Allegedly.
proceeded
Did
to
you
gobble
say
up
allegedly?
the rights to the blackest of all black pigments.
Allegedly.
Not a pigment.
Allegedly.
Vanta Black.
Right. Allegedly.
Beginning his villain arc, which caused a wave of outrage.
Allegedly. Do not agree or disagree with these statements here. Allegedly.
Ultimately leading Stuart Semple
Sure.
to crowdsource the creation of Black 3.0
Allegedly.
years later.
Allegedly.
But
Right.
before
Maybe
Black
he just wanted to make it,
3.0,
Stephanie.
Stuart started with the Pinkest Pink, a bright-ass extra-spectral homemade pink that he had been using in his studio for years before, and decided to produce some for the public, saying that anyone was allowed to buy it as long as they were not
Allegedly.
Name
Anish
redacted.
Kapoor.
Allegedly.
Really don't want him to get his hands on this.
So when you know it, Stephanie, Anish Kapoor
redacted.
allegedly did get his hands allegedly on some of the Pinkest allegedly paints, and in response sent out some very cringe allegedly, very emotionally walled allegedly, Instagram posts allegedly of his middle finger allegedly dipped in the Pinkest Pink allegedly.
Yes,
Okay,
very telling.
Very Andrew Tate energy allegedly.
Yes. This whole
All this was
feud
allegedly.
led to Culture Hustle making accessible alternatives to trademarked colors like those of T-Mobile, Mattel, Pantone, and of course, so many others.
But digitally speaking,
Digital.
Stephanie, if you are one of the few viewing this podcast through a screen, first of all, thank you, like and subscribe, and I'm not sure where it is. We extra spectral thank you. You may notice that some of these colors here don't look very pink. And when we were editing the segments before this one, we noticed that they kind of look orange. They kind of look coral. They kind of look peachy.
Yep.
Some of them just look straight up red. And that is because pink, like magenta, is considered an extra spectral color, which is weird, right? Because I thought it was only red. I thought it was a little ketchup and mayo just mixed together. That was just a little unholy aioli going on here, right?
Well, red is definitively spectral.
Exactly. And pixels, screens, digital cameras, and LEDs are not known to struggle with red, but they are known to struggle with pink, Stephanie.
Gotcha.
Algorithms, too, they have a difficult time sorting images by extra spectral colors like magenta, like pink. They may get some right, and they may leave others out completely because of the way they measure for those colors.
So this is very unfortunate for us since we spent a whole night making slime and Jell-O, but also picking out bootleg Hello Kitty toys from El Mercado.
Yeah, think about how
Okay.
we feel.
But it just speaks to the complexity of this color. Let's get into the history of pink, an abbreviated history of pink. It wasn't until the 17th century that the term pink, as in P-I-N-K, appeared in the West, owing its name to the frilled edges of dianthus flowers referred to as pinks. The first recorded use of pink in the arts was that rosy-fingered hue we previously mentioned from Homer's Odyssey. Soon after, Roman poets would later come up with their own word for rosy or pink. Roseus.
Roseus, of course. And while the upper-class Romans were enveloped in all shades of marble, Stephanie, white, yellow, purple, and pink, depending on the mineral content, of
Right,
course, your
right.
middle-class Roman who could not afford the real deal hired actually faux marble artists to deck out their homes, often in the pinkish marbly hues.
Ooh.
Rosy-cheeked, pink-adorned subjects first appear in Tang Dynasty China in both silk and ceramic sculptures, a la lady with the clamshell bun, looks a little bit like Mickey Mouse, a little bit like Mickey Mouse. Safflower, a yellow annual, turned fen hong, meaning light or powdered red, when used as a dye for clothes and a rouge for skin. Just don't confuse fen hong with fanto, which meant powderhead or prostitute.
8th century Japan also began using safflower to make pinku dyes. Momoiro and sakurairo distinguish between peach or cherry blossom hues.
Momoiro being a bit more fuchsia than the earthier Sakura Ido.
Both became integral colors in Japan, carrying on even centuries later into Japanese ukiyo-e prints. During that huge swath of time called the Middle Ages, valuable pigments like Brazilian, made from heartwood of several tree species, were quickly replacing older methods.
Like smushing tiny bugs between their fingers, extracting any like color that comes out of that.
So less of that, resulting in long-lasting pigments ranging from wine mauves to dusty roses.
You have to think, though, that the artist kind of missed that gritty bug texture. Like, I know I love a gritty paint. I would think I would miss the, like, little leggies and little, like, I don't know. Do they have exoskeletons? What do they have?
It's possible.
Furs, little follicles? Little spider follicles?
Little antennas.
Okay.
What?
I don't know.
All right. So you can likely see Brazilian in this kind of weird illuminated manuscript by Jean de Limbourg, depicting the Duc de Berry wearing a flamboyant peak houppelon in an otherwise deeply blue composition.
Duke of Berries here is a medieval cereal mascot.
Like the breakfast, right? Not the podcast cereal.
That would be great. It's a male chimp. A male chimp. That's really hard to put those two things together. Anyway, he put on his flamingo hide here. All his men, his berry sniffing dog and Angel, are going out to decry a cereal tax on the serf children. So, silly serfs, barley berries are for dukes. Silly serfs, barley berries are for dukes.
Okay, silly
They're
serfs.
for dukes. The barley berries. The barley berries are for dukes.
Yes, they are.
Sorry. How do you think they get their color? The raspberry. It's the blood of serf children.
Okay. Everyone deserves
Look,
to know the crunch.
I said I
okay?
wouldn't do English accents in this one because of Stuart.
That's true.
You
broke the rule. You broke the rule.
That wasn't English.
What was that?
I don't know.
Was that the Hans, the Swedish
I
Hans
only
accent?
have one.
Pink would quickly become associated with baby Jesus, baby J. First in the form of silky baby robes to signify Christ's flesh and blood. By the time the High Renaissance rolled around, pinks were showing up more and more, often mixed into skin tones of all shades. Listener Modest G mentioned Raphael's Madonna of the Pinks, where rosy-cheeked BBJ can be seen presenting pink carnations to the Virgin Mary, representing a spiritual marriage between mother and child.
Mother.
How sweet.
Mother. See, he, like, the Renaissance BBJs evolved.
Okay.
So, yeah. Mother. Mother, I've committed the golden ratio to memory, mother. Mother.
Okay.
Mother, may I touch your face? Back to that precious heartwood-derived pigment. Was it Brazilian?
Brazilian?
Yeah, Brazilian. In the 15th century, Portuguese conquistadors were on a little visit to the New World. And if they put up one hand, kind of spread it flat, squinted their eyes, and said, "Oh, la la la, I don't see you," to any indigenous folks they may have happened upon, they found a pristine, untouched land filled with trees that could produce Brazilian or whatever it is. And thus, this tiny little speck of land would be renamed after the tree, Brazil.
With this seemingly never-ending supply of Brazilian, Europe has a pink juggernaut on their hands. Yeah. Sumptuary laws tried to stop it, but pink just barreled on through, really taking off in 18th century France. Suffice to say, pink became this highly used and loved color, but it also got a reputation for being a bit scandalous.
A bit bourgeois.
As many of you mentioned, there may be no greater example of this than Jean-Honoré Fragonard, okay? Specifically, his infamous swing painting from 1767.
You can see the bedbugs just flying off of this very jiggly-puff silhouette, which is kind of just gliding through this very dark garden. These vignettes upon vignettes of dark gardens.
That pink robe that once symbolized the purity of BBJ, right? That pink carnation that symbolized his bond with his virgin mother has been turned on its head.
From carnation to carnal desire to cuckold.
Yes, the swing itself is a symbol of a physical, whimsical thrill, right? She's gliding carelessly through the air and whoops, she's even lost her zapato, her shoe.
Yeah.
Her elderly husband is literally in the dark, but really enjoying giving her a push on that swing.
While a fresh-faced, rosy-cheeked young man is parting the bramble, patiently waiting for Jigglypuff here to allow him a peek up or puff.
A little look-see. This is the 18th century aristocratic sleaze at its finest from the it boy of Rococo smut.
Aristocrats who swam in the 18th century pink-hued excesses, like Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, for example, became revolutionary symbols of debauchery and fodder for explicit NSFW,
Yes.
NSFW libel prints, which comically illustrated what the swing could only hint at.
Mm-hmm.
What's that saying, Stephanie?
Which one?
If you got time to swing on a swing, also swing. Yeah. You got time to share the material necessities for survival with your fellow humans.
Right. Because of this, rosy pink cosmetics were attacked as damaging to the skin and, gasp, morals.
And while we agree with their class concerns, painting things on a color falls in a long and stupid line of people fearing color for its ability to obscure the rational truth.
Think about how similar the terms Fen Han and Fen Do were prostitute, makeup, or light red, as in someone who is using pink blush to deceive you into thinking they were aroused.
When color swerves into artifice, it makes people really uncomfortable. It's also one of the reasons why, decades later, critics found the Impressionists to be so vulgar.
Yeah.
They were making an emotional experience from a partial truth that was unnerving to the people at that time.
From Mary Cassatt's giant-bowed pink bonnet to Degas' pink dancers, both at the RCB and B Knots mentioned the lush, calming pinks prominent in the Impressionist movement, which partially owed their love of this extra-spectral color to those fleeting, floating pinku moments found in circulating ukiyo-e prints.
Van Gogh, though, couldn't keep himself from using the brightest of all possible pinks in his works. If you look at Roses from 1890, you see a vase overflowing with cool, white blooms in otherwise analogous greenish blues. But if you look really closely, you can see this faint, almost golden, honey-tinged white that used to hold a boatload of pink pigment.
As we discussed in our magenta episode, Joshua Reynolds' ghostly pale white portraits were victims of a bright red pigment that would often go fugitive. And Van Gogh knew this, so he laid it on thick.
So thick.
Hoping to stave off their fleeting hues.
Didn't work. Thicker globs of paint went fugitive.
Yes.
As they would. That's how pigment works.
In a less extreme example, in the bedroom, the purple walls have faded to blue and the pink floor to brown. Kind of romantic though, right? Everything is fleeting, so why not enjoy the brightest of all pinks? Pink has long been a celebrated color in India, Westerners sometimes referring to its ubiquitousness as the navy blue of India.
Okay.
In 1876, the city of Jaipur got its nickname the Pink City when they amped up their naturally light red sandstone buildings by pink washing them with calcium oxide.
Always wanted to go there.
Up until this point, we can say that pink is not necessarily associated with the feminine. That's all going to shift starting in 19th century England. 19th century British families would adorn newly born baby boys in pink ribbons, and they would even dress them in pink dresses, carrying on the tradition of BBJ swaddled in pink robes.
Pink was regarded as a boy color as well in the US of A, baby, as we see here in the infamous and anonymous Young Boy with a Whip circa 1840. See, he's wearing a pink dress, but he's got a whip, so you know he's tough.
The thought process was red was a masculine color, so this light red was for a little mini man, little mini hombre. Little baby girls, meanwhile, were dressed in a light blue, perhaps to emulate the Virgin Mary, who was associated with that iconic lapis. However, somewhere between the late 1920s and 1940s, department stores found that people were starting to buy pink for their BB girls.
Okay.
This gendering of color was so important that even Time magazine decided to throw its best investigative reporters on the job, surveying the finest department stores in the country, and the results were a little bit mixed, Not at all clear.
Not clear.
It seemed like both were acceptable.
Okay.
But by the 1940s, the switch had been officially made. Pink was now for girls.
Let me check the math here, Stephanie. That means baby boomers were the first generation to definitively enforce gendered colors. Interesting.
Shocking.
Not at all.
Right.
The boomers are completely fine
Chicks.
and normal and regular. Just regular.
Regular? Good old capitalism said, why stop with the babies? And proceeded to successfully sell all sorts of feminine products to not just girls, but also adult women.
Okay.
So we now see pink refrigerators, vacuum cleaners, radios, sanitary products, telephones, scales, and the Dodge La Femme.
Yes. It had I think a compartment for your lipstick.
Did it?
Yeah. In your
Whole ass
purse, in your
compartment.
purse. I think so.
for my
Or maybe it was just the
lipstick.
purse. Maybe the lipstick went in the purse and the purse went into the compartment. Don't know.
Like a Matryoshka
Right,
doll.
yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. So popular American culture also embraced the pink, from First Lady Mamie Eisenhower.
Mammy, get in there and cook me some grits.
Mamie Eisenhower to Hollywood stars like Audrey Hepburn.
Mammy, you cook me some grits today.
Mamie?
Mammy, you don't.
Okay.
Sorry.
I love that. Okay. So ladies like Mamie to Hollywood stars like Audrey Hepburn and Marilyn Monroe, they were all echoing the same pink associations that we've had for thousands of years, right? The flowery, the pure, the carnal, but this time highlighting a new femininity.
Okay.
Of course, there were exceptions like Elvis Presley's love of pink, borrowed from African American culture, like that of black boxing legend Sugar Ray Robinson's fuchsia Cadillac.
Yeah, by and large, men being associated with pink had negative connotations. Of course, effeminate, queer, pinko as in baby communist, so a moderate socialist.
Okay.
In Latin America around this time, there was also a wave of left-leaning political movements known as the Pinko Tide that the CIA would systematically dismantle, leading to the state of those countries today.
USA, baby.
USA, baby. We love our secret wars. And this wasn't dissimilar from other forms of fascism. Mussolini's laws forced some football clubs to change their pink jerseys to less effeminate hues. Or in the case of the Maglia Rosa, worn by the leader of the leader of the
Giro d'Italia.
Yes, thank you. The guy on the bike.
The bike one.
They compromised and slapped a fascist symbol on the pink jersey. In Nazi Germany, bi or lesbian women and trans men were marked with black triangles. However, even worse was the pink triangle, marked on the bi or gay men and trans women, which guaranteed a trip to concentration camps where they faced violence, not just from Nazis, but fellow inmates.
That pink triangle has since been reclaimed as a symbol of pride. In 1959, a pale, lucite, grown-ass woman doll known as Barbie was introduced to the USA, baby.
Yeah.
Now, Barbie was based on a voluptuous West German novelty toy for adult men. Her name was Bild Lily.
Basically, an early dashboard waifu.
So maybe enough little German girls saw a Bild Lily sitting on their father's dashboards, because eventually she did become popular with children.
Okay.
And American Mattel Inc. thinks, I want to buy the rights to this. And if they say no, which they did, they just thought, we will just make our own doll and advertise it during children's TV shows. And no one will be the wiser.
And then they think when Ronald Reagan is elected president in 30 years, he'll allow us to advertise even more commercials.
Yes.
Then we'll really have it made.
Now, little ladies could practice being little consumers.
Little consumers.
Yeah, little consumers that can buy different little outfits and little accessories to express themselves. Now, most of us, when we think of Barbie, all of those shades of plastic pink come to mind, filling your childhood toy store aisles. But it actually wasn't until the 70s that Barbie switched up their marketing and introduced the one, the only, the patented Magenta Barbie Pink. Flash forward 50-ish years to 2023, and while Barbie has grown from one shape, one skin tone, to now 7 skin tones and 4
Original,
body
curvy,
types.
tall, and petite with 22 eye colors and 24 hairstyles for never-ending combinations. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
I
All
looked
right.
it up.
Yes, I got that
Yeah.
part. Okay. However, one thing has remained the same. Barbie's association with all things pink.
Greta Gerwig's massive Barbie Barbenheimer film famously just ate up all the pink supply chain, right? Ate it all up. Yum, yum, yum. That was already running low due to the 2021 Texas freeze, which damaged the essential pink pigments that they used to make their pink. I guess they're only using from one company. It seems like maybe they would just source it from other pinks, or I don't know.
You would think.
Yeah. But the movie looks great, right? I mean, those
Yeah.
pinks were great.
So I struggled with this movie, okay? It was a step in the right direction, and it's not to say that I didn't enjoy playing with Barbie, but they were expensive. And the ones that I had were often from those little baggy bunches at the thrift store. You know what I'm talking about.
They are
you know,
teaching
you know.
kids about consumerism then. If you can afford one Barbie, you can't afford the other. There you go. Teaching you about the class system.
You got me.
You're bad because you can only afford thrift store Barbie baggy bunches.
Sometimes the baggy Barbie bunch had clothing, and sometimes they didn't. Sometimes I'd have to scrap together some new looks from my grandma's sewing scraps.
You would sew little Barbie clothes. That's
Jankily.
very sweet. I like that. Oh my God, no, that's great.
It's a hot mess, okay? So
No, that's great. That's great.
all that in mind, it's hard when a company with that much baggage, including inaccessibility, suddenly makes a turn. It feels really performative, okay? And honestly, let's be honest, Barbie, the movie, would not have seen the light of day without Mattel's stamp of approval. That script would have been tossed in the trash.
In a pink Barbie, yeah.
Barbie pink trash can. Sorry, not sorry, in the Barbie font.
Well, I mean, this reminds me of like the RC squared. This is kind of like some brand reimagination, some self-inoculation.
Yes, and it came at a time that it's very popular and very financially beneficial to stand up against these weird norms that we've been fed, but fed by corporations like Mattel.
And it's more than just Mattel, of course, but they are one piece in a larger American pop culture gravitational pull that has really touched on all these different countries through either occupation or actual distribution. That over time and that sort of American saturation has made the symbol pink equals feminine ubiquitous not just in America, but worldwide.
Right.
We're to blame for this whole pink thing.
We are.
It's Mammy's fault.
I mean...
Hey, maybe it's her fault, maybe it isn't.
Maybe it is...
Listeners, the Pantrymons have handed us a clipboard filled with your answers. But actually, we have a very special visiting color theory and associations research analyst in an extremely pink lab coat.
Listeners, you might know him as the man who has been democratizing color from greedy hands like Pantone, T-Mobile, Crypto Bros, and of course, Anish Kapoor. And in the process, gave the world wonderful colors like the Pinkest Pink, Black 3.0, the mirroriest mirror. But he's also a brilliant multidisciplinary artist whose work is layered and challenging both in its appearance and its social impact.
Stuart Semple, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, it's amazing to be here with you.
in the laboratory, although you actually have a color laboratory, unlike our imaginary color laboratory.
A real one. I like your imaginary one.
Thank you.
Question number 1. What are your immediate thoughts when you look at pink? There are no wrong answers here, Stuart. You want to lead us off?
Yeah. Well, my first thought is just how potent it is. And it's always seemed to me to be a really strong, powerful colour. I mean, as you say, it's completely loaded and we've got ideas of femininity and masculine and feminine colours and all of that. And it transports me to childhood straight away.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm straight there in childhood and growing up in this world of blue things for boys and pink things for girls and remembering this amazing lunchbox that this girl called Megan had in my class. And it had My Little Pony on it. And I really wanted her lunchbox, but it was pink. Which kind of meant I wasn't allowed. So I can remember it. So it takes me there, which is really strange.
I totally feel that. There was another listener answer we had from Dr. P where he described like like seeing the girls aisle at a toy store and then feeling this like pang of anxiety because he wanted to go into that aisle and look at things, but feeling like he couldn't, you know?
Yeah.
And I totally felt that when I was a kid too, because it was so like you're just kind of like peeking around the corner, like this is really interesting.
Yeah, this stuff's really cool.
Yeah, but I can't be caught dead in here.
Yeah.
What kind of pink was it? Was it like a hot pink or kind of like a desaturated pink?
It was quite hot, I think, but it was more like a sort of powdery kind of baby pink. You know, it wasn't getting to the neon extreme like the Pinkest Pink. It was much less than that, but it wasn't muted.
So I've heard in various interviews with you that I think you said pink is your favorite color. Is that still the case?
Yeah, definitely.
What's the story behind creating the Pinkest Pink? I know we all know how it got released.
Yeah.
But what was because you made it before that whole fiasco.
That's right. Yeah, because most people think I made it in response to the fiasco, but I didn't. I've been making my own colours since I was about 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
And and every time I've done an art exhibition, I've always made a new colour to make my work.
Oh.
And I've had the pink for about maybe 15 years. And every time I've done a show, I've dialed it up and it's got more and more and more and more saturated. And the pink, out of all the colours I've ever made, is actually the most potent and the most vibrant.
Oh, wow.
So that was the one I wanted to release to make a point in that instance, you know. But yeah, I've been making colours for a long time.
So listeners, as always, we loved the spectrum of color associations here. Original Sophia at Sophia's Consto says, pink makes her think of, quote, girlhood, sunsets, ketchup and mayo mixed, white skin after a day in the sun, and healing scars, end quote.
Wow. That's brilliant.
Yes. We have another one that kind of speaks to Sophia's. So we have Jameson at Jardín de Jay says pink is, quote, a fleshy, tender representation of our origins as humans. Pink is a tint of primal energies that resides in us, end quote.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, I don't think I've ever equated pink to being physically like in our body. Obviously, it's in our body. But recently, like I got a wound and I had like the bacterial infection like almost immediately started to kick in. And I just saw my arm, like I was looking at it like a topographical map almost. And I'm watching like all this like pink skin like arise to like start fighting off the bacteria. And it's just pretty amazing like how pink is just this, you know, it's a color, but it's also like a color of our skin, but also it does kind of start to stand in for this bodily affection, this bodily like nurturing.
It's probably one of the most loaded colors when you think about it. Just like it's so deep. The more you think about it.
So we have Ren at pinkmoth.tattoo, who for context is an artist, but also a tattoo artist, said, quote, I like that pink is a polarizing color. So many people go out of their way to tell me I'd get a tattoo from you, but I don't like pink. Or could I get you to paint me something in another color? It's wild to me. It all sounds like internalized patriarchy nonsense. No one goes out of their way to say, I hate blue or green or red, but they always have to chime in when the color in question is pink, end quote. If you're calling out pink specifically, it's a bit suspect. Like it's more of a reflection on you and your whatever biases that you have against pink.
Yeah. But it brings it out of people, pink, more than anything else.
Yes.
You know, like if a guy wears a bright pink T-shirt, it's actually quite controversial in a strange way. Even now, like, wait, what are you doing? Can you wear a pink T-shirt? It's kind of really odd. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I chose to do the Pinkest Pink in response to the He Who Shall Not Be Named Fandango. Because it just, it just kind of raises a lot of questions, doesn't it? It brings a lot up.
And I feel like it's okay to not like a color, but it is a little bit suspect when it's pink because of all those associations. You know, like there are some blues that I'm not, like if I'm just looking at that pure, like, let's say light navy blue jeans blue, I might not like that color very much. But in a painting or in a tattoo, colors play off of one another. And I don't know how you'd ever rule out like a color from something. It's so crazy.
But you're right. There's no other color that people are really that raging about
Right. Yeah.
Pink really winds people up.
St. Henry of Brittlebriar says, quote, I think of that pale pink as the emotional opposite of a really nice, almost black, dark brown. Where the dark brown has depth and leaves room for emotion and contemplation, the pink feels like a suffocating vacuum of space or my nose on a really dry day in the middle of winter, end quote.
It's amazing how much, it's almost poetry that comes out of it. Like the listeners are essentially writing poems about colours.
I know, right? They always have great answers. Great answers.
It's beautiful.
This is why we love doing this.
Question número dos. Outside of art, do you associate this color with any specific memories? Stuart, this is one of our favorite questions, and you kind of answered it with the My Little Pony lunchbox, but I don't know if there's another one that sticks out in your memory.
Yeah, there is. There's a really strong memory that I have of, I think it's a Pissarro painting that I must have seen when I was 8 or 9, and it has a sunset that's actually pink. And a lot of the Impressionists were playing with that play of light and colour. And Pissarro actually ran pinks through in the skies. And they're incredible, those paintings, actually. I mean, they're quite romantic. But I think it's one of the earliest memories I have of an artwork that used pink where it didn't belong.
I love that. That's great.
I have this very strong memory. I don't remember where it was from. This reflection on this almost rusted metal, and it was reflecting that like subsurface scattering where where it's dusk and like the pink is kind of like expanding across the horizon. But in that reflection, I remember it just seemed so like unnatural and like almost like spiritual in a way. Like how does this color exist?
But it's crazy when nature does it, when the sky gets painted by nature and nature chucks out these pinks and these oranges. It is always awesome. I mean, it gives you a sense of awe when you see it. And, you know, the fact that nature puts pink in the sky in real life almost shouldn't be happening. It seems like it should be fake, right? Like,
Right.
Why is that? It's phenomenal.
Floxy with a PH, she says, quote, growing up, we had plastic Tupperware bowls. Some were a dusty rose blush pink. My dad refused to eat from these bowls. If you forgot and tried to hand him some chips in the pink bowl, you would hear a, nah, I'm not eating out of a pink bowl. I don't do pink. I loved pink. When I was 8, I wore what I thought was the most fabulous of outfits, pink from head to toe, including some amazing pink tennis shoes. My sister had absorbed our dad's hatred of pink, so not only did she think pink was awful, but that none of it goes together because your pinks don't match. Out of undiagnosed anxiety, I changed my outfit. I avoided wearing pink for decades. But now I wear so many shades of pink. I have a bright pink turtleneck, a dark pink and camel plaid coat, a baby pink sweater, and pink shoes. In writing this, I'm realizing that wearing pink as an adult has been an act of loving and accepting myself. End quote.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really sad when it comes from your family.
Yeah.
Those feelings from pink that then follow you into adulthood.
But this ridiculous, deep, prejudicial attitude that no way am I eating a chip out of a pink bowl in case I catch the pink. And then your poor child not being able to wear pink for most of their life because the bluing is crazy. But I'm so glad that they're embracing their pink side now. And that's beautiful to hear.
Yes.
We read that and almost like brought a tear to our eyes, almost like it was just like, oh my God.
I know.
It definitely did for me because as a kid, I really enjoyed pink. I was allowed to wear pink. No one batted an eye. But because of that, at a certain point, like I felt like it was expected of me to always choose pink. And it made me, after a certain point, want to avoid wearing it for a really long time. Because as I grew up, I felt like it was a slippery slope. Like if I wore pink, then I would be expected to present and behave a certain way, like a Stepford wife or something to that nature. And I know that's not true. And I've come around it now in recent years. And I do find power in reclaiming it. I'm still picky about my pinks, but I don't shy away from them. But if I do, it's mainly because I'm a heavy sweater and those pinks turn dark. They turn dark real quick.
Oh no.
I love pink, and that's honestly why I would avoid it if I do.
Sweaty pink.
Yeah. Ezreal at Ezreal's Art says, quote, okay, when I was like 8, I was obsessed with Barbie's 90s hot dark pink Jeep. And my parents delivered. My room had pink walls, pink trim, pink blankets, and a pink vanity. It was freaking pink until my sisters were playing with an easy bake oven and my room caught fire. After that, I swore pink was bad luck. End quote. I would be very
Oh my
upset.
gosh.
Scorched
Wow.
pink. New color right there.
Yeah, we've got scorched pink and sweaty pink. I'm getting all the inspiration here.
Yeah, a pink that turns different colors with heat, a thermal pink. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Right. I'm obsessed with thermal nail polish right now, and one of them is pink. It turns purple when it's cool, and then it turns pink when it gets hot. So it's a little inspiration.
That could be good.
Question number 3. When you reach for pink, why are you reaching for it? How does it show up in your artwork or design?
Well, that's interesting. I think the Pinkest Pink is an artwork. So probably the best known artwork I've made with pink is probably that. So it's hard to talk about anything else really, because that's like the main thing I've ever done with pink, and a lot of people have connected with it in a way. So I think I reached for it because I felt it was politicized. I knew it had a potency, and I wanted to sort of start that dialogue around the idea of owning colours, and I thought pink was the right one to use. But I do use pink in my paintings as well, and there's often a moment where I don't know how to put it, but it's almost like nothing else will do, and the pink is the answer. And you'll see that in my work a lot around when I paint text. Sometimes it appears in a very bright kind of toxic pink, and that's why I developed the pink in the first place. I used it for a whole series of text works first.
Okay.
So that's how it shows up.
I was looking at some of your, I think they're prints with paint on them. And yeah, to me, they reminded me of old rave posters in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so beautiful. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah,
So
they're
good.
a big inspiration for me.
Oh, good. I'm not off there. Okay.
No, you're spot on.
The Viridian Killer uses it whenever she can. Quote, it's my highlights color, my secret paint color, and my favorite. The sky produces some of the best pinks, and people always forget to add them to their landscapes. Such a precious, beautiful color that's always forgotten. End quote.
Which, I mean, you kind of answered with that Pissarro. Yeah.
Yeah, it is that, but it's also the fact that we feel in a way, I think, that pink is an artificial colour, that it's human-made. For some reason, there's something about it that doesn't feel natural.
Right.
And whether that's because it's a shade of red with a bit of white in it or whatever, I think that we sort of miss it. We don't see it as legitimate in some way. So we would leave it out of a landscape. It would seem weird to use it, I think. I don't know why.
Spending time outdoors, I was actually going to say, the longer you sit outside and look, you realize that nature reflects off itself. And then they kind of combine different colors right in front of your eyes. So her quote reminded me that, yeah, pink does live out there. Sometimes you just have to sit and look a little bit longer, which is really hard, I think, for a lot of us these days, to just get outside and just sit and observe.
Seeing real colour is really interesting. Like nature makes real colours, like real pigments. And we're so used to seeing things on screens and things in books and things on our phone. And obviously that's just a mixture of red, green and blue colours. So when you see pink in nature, you see real pink, which you never see in a book, and you're never going to see it on a screen.
Right.
And that's why it's so impactful.
All right. So we have a listener answer here who actually kind of explores the different shades of one particular color. So we have St. Henry of Brittlebriar again. He uses a very specific pink for the feeling of a dusty old bouquet of dried roses. Quote, there's one mystery glaze at the studio where I do pottery that is dark magenta when laid on thick, pink when laid on normally, and gray when laid on thin. And I actually really like their contrast. End quote.
Wow.
Just like a chemical reaction there.
Yeah, it must be some sort of weird chemical reaction. I wonder if the grey turns pink when it's fired, though.
Yeah, I think like that's something about like glazes that's just so unpredictable. Like when you start to add fire to the equation, much like Ezreal's like burning his house. When you start to add it, yeah, exactly.
You just don't know what it's going to do till you cook it sometimes.
So we have Julie at The Real Julie Farstad continues the idea of emotional feelings through different hues of pinks. She uses pink for, quote, many reasons. Being a somewhat realistic painter, I use it for things that appear pink, but I also use it for emotional effect. Making a soft, warm pink can turn the painting into a marshmallow's place of comfort. Using a bright, hot pink can be confrontational. I love mixing different pinks because it's like sending out mixed messages or alternatively, showing depth and nuance, end quote.
I really love mixing pinks and red in my own work. Like you could have like a very pastel pink next to kind of like a middle of the road pink next to like a really hot cadmium red. And like those color combinations for me, so exciting.
Julie's answer makes me want to explore that nuance of pink because there is pink in all of my works. Even if only in iridescence. I love iridescence. I love pearlescence. I love that extra layer of something extra. But for me, there's something about pink that can be citrusy and spicy that no other color can quite accomplish, like a guava or a grapefruit, for example.
Oh.
I think orange is a close second, but I just like that sort of in between orange and pink. And I use it really intuitively sometimes, not necessarily thinking about what I'm trying to say. So I think Julie's quote kind of poses that as a challenge for me when I get back into the studio. But yeah, I'm really obsessed with that sort of range of pinks at the moment. So we have Ren, again, at pinkmoth.tattoo, quote, I literally have built my entire career around the color pink. I have not created anything in the last 5 years that wasn't pink. I go through so much pink gouache and tattoo ink that I see pink in my dreams. In tattooing, pink inks are very often very difficult to work with and very transparent in nature. And I enjoy the challenge of working with difficult colors. In my monochromatic landscapes, most color choices like blue trees can be indicative of winter. Red sets an oppressive and ominous vibe, etc. But colors like pink don't produce immediate associations and don't change the desired meaning of the piece. So for me, pink makes my paintings interesting and entertaining. Also, pink is just cute, end quote.
What was really interesting, what she said there, is the idea of pink in a tattoo. And I was thinking the same thing. Wow, it's almost too subtle. Would it show up? Would you even be able to use it? And the fact that someone is that obsessed with pink and live their whole life and actually dream of it, I love this person. I'd probably marry them, to be honest. If I met them, it would just be like this whirlwind romance, wouldn't it? It would be terrible. Can we talk about Barbie pink?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people have profited a lot from the colour pink. And I think one of the baddest rotters in that space are probably Mattel, because they own the rights to Barbie pink. So none of us are actually allowed to use that specific hue of pink because they're trying to kind of own girls' childhoods by coining a colour. So when you're buying those Barbie dolls, you're actually sponsoring a terrible corporation to privatise a colour.
You can't even have fun with a doll anymore.
Not anymore.
Oh,
no.
my God.
No.
That's horrible.
Yeah, the beasts.
Well, we love, obviously, like the work you're doing, kind of liberating those colors, especially
Thank you.
I just downloaded your Pantone pack. For
cool.
Adobe. Yeah, it's really exciting to use that. It's just like so ridiculous that people think they can do this and that corporations have all this sway and all this power to just like, it's just like a various shade of T-Mobile magenta, really? Like,
it's ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. I mean, How long have corporations been around? 100 years?
Yeah.
How long has nature been painting the sky pink, purple, blue, forever? What is wrong with people? I think every human being has a right to express themselves as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. So taking colours off the table so artists can't express themselves with them is unbelievably wrong. And I'll do anything I can to stop people doing that, because that is not right.
And I mean, the whole Vanta Black and name redacted story is so wonderful because like most people wouldn't have had access to Vanta Black to begin with, right? It's too expensive. It's too difficult to use. Just ridiculous that he did that in the first place. And it was just like
the whole thing was nonsense.
Power move.
Dumb. But now we have this beautiful black that you've made and that other companies are starting to make as well.
Yeah, which is awesome.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And we were talking about this in the Black episode. We were thinking about like how much like things would have changed back in the day, had like Van Gogh had access to like the blackest black or the pinkest pink. Like obviously he already had like these brilliant, beautiful colors.
Incredible.
I'm just thinking about that skeleton with the cigarette.
Yeah. I mean, art history would have been very different, I think, with a lot of the innovations now with colors and paints. I mean, in all honesty, I'm seeing stuff here in the lab that probably people won't see for about 5 years. It's blowing my head off. Like the technology that's coming in paint is literally just, I can tell you, it just blow your head off if you saw some of this stuff. Yeah, and it's way out there, like eco-polymers, plant-based stuff, iridescent stuff, structural colours that change when you look at them in different lights and different angles. Like the potential, the opacity, the quality, like it's crazy what's happening.
Stephanie's mind's blowing, I can tell.
I don't know.
It's coming.
Can you
like it's good.
A little hint. Also,
I don't know. It's not necessarily me that's making this stuff. There's loads of people making it, But there's a lot of people really pushing into colours. I think one of the most exciting things I've seen in the last few weeks is proper cadmium alternatives now that are like as bright, as vibrant, as opaque. We've never had those. They've always been a bit rubbish. So they're coming real soon.
Well, in our last Cobalt Blue episode, we were talking about the new, oh my gosh, I always butcher the name. Is it Yinmin Blue?
Yeah.
Yinmin, okay. Well, they're already talking about using that as a way to reflect, sunlight in order to keep like areas cooler. So it's just really exciting to see, what we're going to do with these sort of paints in the future. And it doesn't replace like these old ways of making pigment either, because they have their own natural properties. I think that's what's so beautiful about them, right?
Yeah. There's space for both.
So do you have any advice for artists today making work? Like what would be like the one big advice you would give them?
Make your work. And I mean, that's a very simple way of saying, don't picture all the people it's for. Don't think about a market. Don't think who's going to buy it. Actually find your unique, real voice in what you make. Express yourself through the work. And that's the best reward you'll ever get. Yeah, so the truthfulness is the point.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to like just be obsessed with that. If you can't think about the steps afterwards. You just got to be there. And that's
You've got to have the work. You've got to have the work, And with Instagram and all of that, and this person's posted that, and that one's got all these, and there's also a lot of comparisons, and everybody's making stuff, and it feels more competitive than ever, and all the rest of it. Yeah. What you do is you keep your head down, you focus on your work, you keep doing it.
I think also embracing the mistakes that you might make in your work, or not the mistakes, but just like doing something and not quite getting there, but it's a step towards it. Like, that's okay. Like, embrace that too, because you needed to mess up in this way to, get to your end result. So not getting there the first time is totally fine. That's another thing that is hard to remember.
Yeah, but it's a lifelong process, and like all human beings mess things up and get them wrong, and it comes out a bit wonky and weird. And there's no shame in that. That's the beauty of the thing. The imperfections are where it's always in the imperfections. The bit where it went wrong is the clue. Every time.
Yep.
And not to hark on like digital work at all, but it's so easy now to just like, if you mess up, just move it a little bit. Like just select that thing and move it. And sometimes it's so good to just own mistakes, because like you were saying, like they become like such an integral part of your work. They become an integral part of who you are. And great artists make mistakes.
It's like there's no undo button on a painting, Like I spend ages doing digital stuff, and then I paint again, and I'm like looking for Apple X to like cut something. And I'm like, no, you're holding a paintbrush, you idiot. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, Stuart, is there okay? So, anywhere you'd like us to send our listeners to check your work out? Obviously, Culture Hustle, but what about your work specifically?
Probably just my Instagram. Stuart Semple is the best place to see what I'm up to.
Great. Well, thanks so much for being a person who shares your work and is. We just like the more we got into like looking at your work, we realized how much of like an influence you were, especially to like younger artists, and like you're almost like showing them the way. And it's so great to like have a voice like you have such a platform. So keep it up.
Thank you.
We're big fans. We're so happy that you joined us, and feel free to come back anytime.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
It's so
awesome.
nice to meet you both. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It's great fun.
Bonus round, we asked you to describe pink as a sort of pink sommelier.
Yeah, like what's in it? What's it smell like? What are you tasting? What are the notes?
All right.
Notes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All good questions.
Yeah.
All good thoughts.
I only know notes. Is there something else? Is there something else besides
Hint?
notes? Yeah, hints. There's hints and notes.
Aftertaste?
Okay.
Aroma?
Sure.
I don't know. Okay, alrighty. Starting off with at Jardin de Jay, quote, "This beverage greets us with gentle notes of crisp citrus and berry." I don't know why I have an accent all of a sudden.
Because you're a sommelier.
All right.
Give me your best sommelier voice, Stephanie.
Okay. That would remind one of a brisk spring morning on the countryside. The tart overtone is kindly balanced out with chiming echoes of rose and a pleasant undertone of mint. Parentheses. It would be served with a sprig of thyme and 3 pomegranate arils.
Oh my God.
End parentheses, end quote.
Yeah, that mint is sending me. I mean, I'm probably gonna cut it with some seltzer, right? Because it does sound a little too sweet. Anytime you're introducing thyme into the equation, you assume it's a little sweet.
Oh, really?
You're gonna try and balance it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right. Well, my mouth is watering because that time, though. Time gets you.
Yeah.
Sneaks up on you.
Time does sneak up on you, yeah.
I have a message for Jay. Jay, patent this stat, okay? Patent this. And I think you should name it Spring Brisk de Jay.
Okay.
All right. Next up, at Ezreal's Art, quote, "Ooh, damn y'all, okay. Pomegranate with notes of berry, a twinge of citrus, probably lemon.
Okay.
And it's got a sparkle.
It's got a sparkle,
Like
okay.
those sassy Valentine's Day wines. But like, hold on, like actual
what?
sparkles though? Yes. Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
You call those see you tomorrow sparkles.
Why?
Because
No.
you see them tomorrow.
No, your stomach acids would break it down. They would disappear into your body.
That's definitely what happens to glitter, Stephanie.
Your body would
glitter
absorb
just gets
the plastic.
broken down, right? Just gets broken down. You wouldn't see it the next day at all, would you?
Okay, hold on.
Even if it happened to traverse. Thank you. Traverse your whatever, how many like feet of organ you have.
Okay. All right, hold on. So Ezreal
Not
continues.
very eloquent right now.
No, we're not. Ezreal continues.
Because the thing about sparkles, the next. I'm sorry. Go on.
But for some reason, it's got this slight aftertaste in your mouth. You can't quite pinpoint. So you finish the whole bottle.
Yeah. Finish the whole bottle? I'm sorry?
Just take it. Just do it.
I think we'll be seeing those sparkles a little bit sooner than anticipated if we finish the whole bottle.
Okay. All right.
And it's not a see you tomorrow sparkle. It's a see you. I mean,
An
I guess
hour later.
It still ends up in the same spot.
All right.
Just like through a different, roof or basement. It's coming out.
Front door, back door. Returning quote. I don't know. Okay. Trying to figure it out. A while later, your drunk mistakes were made and you realize it was a hairsprayish aftertaste the whole time and you can't let it go. So you take your wine haze ass to bed. So this is when I think the word expunge should be used. You know, like that's used for like crimes and shit. No, a crime against myself.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Expunge me. Expunge it, please.
You know, I'm thinking though, like the sparkles could be like an exfoliation for your stomach, for
your
gut lining.
insides.
Yeah. For all the good bacteria and bad bacteria you may have up there, in there. Down there? Where is it? It's in there somewhere. Although I do really like the branding possibilities for See You Tomorrow Sparkles. I just feel like that's maybe a little bit crass. No C. No C.
Why not?
I think it's just like a 60s silhouette of a 1960s sexist depiction of a woman and it sparkles.
Okay.
Yeah. See You Tomorrow Sparkles.
This is your idea.
Yeah.
That's never coming to fruition.
No,
Sorry,
I think it's I think it sold pretty well.
Maybe in a certain market.
I'm trademarking this.
Okay,
Yeah.
go for it. You heard it first here, listeners. You heard it first here.
If you heard of black girl magic wine, this is white. White boy sparkles.
White boy sparkles, get out of here. Okay. Question number 4. Does it remind you of any artworks, architecture, or pop cultural items? Y'all sent in so many responses that there is no way, no pinkin' way, that we can get to them all. But it's clear that you have all experienced pink in such varied places, and the impression that it's left on you all just goes to show that it is everywhere because it can be so many things for so many people. There was no shortage of products and pop cultural references to sort through. We have tutus, rose quartz, McBling, rose gold iPhones, sweet treats like birthday cakes, macarons, blancmange, I think I said that right, but also makeup products available in thousands of different shades of pink. The chronic elephant says that it reminds her of wearing too much blush as a teenager.
Okay.
Chronic elephant, same here. Same here. Thanks to my mom being a Mary Kay rep. Basically, my sister and I would break into her inventory and sample stuff ourselves. We got caught because we were really bad at hiding broken compacts and palettes. Speaking of Mary Kay, though, several of you mentioned the highly coveted trademarked pink Cadillac that you would get to lease after reaching a certain number of sales.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's why it's important to say Sugar Ray Robinson had a fuchsia Cadillac. You don't want to think he was, like, he doesn't want to be a Mary Kay rep. He doesn't want to be associated with Mary Kay reps.
Cannot confuse the two.
He punches faces. He does not blush them. Okay? You might need blush after he punches your face.
At Jardín de Jay thinks of the painting Rainy Season in the Tropics by Frederick Edwin Church. Quote, "One might not immediately think of pink when seeing this piece, but I am always drawn to the light pink haze created from the vapors that emerge from the gorge. It hits me with the sense of calm and whimsy." Smiley face.
Smiley face.
End quote.
Yeah.
Jameson, I have to agree.
Yeah, concurring smiley face here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It you look
You
at
may
this,
not see it on the screen, but it's a concur. It's in my heart.
it's in your corazon.
Yeah.
That's
My
sweet.
corazon, yes.
Me gusta.
Sí.
Very sweet. It takes time to notice it, that pink vapor haze. But once you do, it's a surprise, but it's like a gentle misting.
Stuart mentioned this, but we rarely experience real pink, right? It's usually on a screen. So unless that pink is slapping you across the face like Pissarro painting, those subtle, dewy pink mistings can go unnoticed, right?
Yes.
And that's not to say that these paintings are describing pure, unadulterated nature, right? Like, Church did spend decades upon decades painting from life, but his most well-known works are panoramic constructs with commercial viability in mind. Like, he was one of the most successful painters of his day. So he was the consumerism and technology of his day. It was just
less.
It was just less. Yeah. So allow me to just take the wheel, Stephanie. Jesus, take the wheel. Russell, take the wheel.
Okay.
And swerve this pink podcast towards Simpsons Pink. Oh no, pink, pink, pink. Which oddly enough is very connected to the transcendentalist painters like Frederick Church, for me at least. So back in school, I was studying artists like Church, but I also really enjoyed horrible printed out screenshots of bizarre Simpsons landscapes from like the early seasons. This was pre-Frinkiac. This was pre-Scenic Simpsons. Okay, we're talking like torrented 240p Simpsons, like ripped from a VHS.
Damn.
Like they have the tracking or like the watermark from the fucking channel, the local channel, which I think adds to the experience. But there are moments in The Simpsons where they're trying to set the narrative, so they get really cinematic. And maybe you'd see a pink sunset, or they'd blend that Pepto-Bismol pink with muted violets and reddish greens. And I don't know, there was always this sense that at any point you were on the verge of peeking past, like, I don't know, like Homer getting his 15th job or whatever.
Oh my God,
getting fired or whatever. And discovering a secret, like, enclave hidden back there behind Homer, right? For a few seconds at best. Like, that has this, like, enormous world in it.
Yeah.
Church gives it to you. Like, he gives you that enormous world, that enormous panoramic view. But in The Simpsons, you had to, like, really search it out.
So Russell only watches and rewatches, like, 3 TV shows.
I think that's normal. I think most people do that, Stephanie.
But
I
because
think it's pretty normal.
I also got to observe those early seasons,
welcome.
it's really refreshing to see how playful they really were with their colors, right? Like their house interior was this like sick pink gradient.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the very early seasons.
Very early,
Yeah.
yes.
The producers actually hated those gradients.
Why?
Which is why they just went away suddenly. Because they were pretty awful. Like
No, I love them.
The rare Simpsons awful gradient, where I love it too.
Yes, love. So speaking of,
Yeah.
tough segue.
Yeah.
Speaking of overwhelming pink, many of you mentioned the immersive installation by Portia Munson called The Pink Project, and it was recently up at the Museum of Sex in New York City.
New York City.
New York City. And it's kind of like putting on pink goggles, okay? So there's a room completely filled with thousands of pink objects that she has collected since girlhood. And many of them are cheap and or disposable. And it honestly does start to resemble like some kind of a womb situation, okay? It's all meant to make you think about the environment and consumerism's effect on the planet, i.e. capitalism.
We saw a different work of hers called Garden. Basically, it's like if your grandma who liked to stitch decorated hell, crocheted hell. I mean, I loved it.
Put
I
a
don't know what
doily
you thought
on
of
it.
Yeah. I wish it was a bit more immersive at times. Like I wish you could walk through it more. But there were a lot of pinks in this installation, a lot of periwinkles, a lot of puces, and a lot of bendy yellow rabbits. Those vintage bendy yellow rabbits.
Love those. Had one once.
Did you like take it from the installation?
No, I had one and now I've lost it. Anyway, all right.
From the installation?
No, my childhood.
Do you think she finds things in those installations that weren't there before?
You like people donate it or something? Maybe.
Like, this is pink. I'm just going to toss that in there.
Do you think she remembers everything that she puts in?
She probably has them all
installations?
coded. I would have to think there's
You
like
think
a
so?
numeric system on them.
You know what? Yeah, because people have to install those,
This
right?
is like A 15,036.
You're probably right. She has a team of people for that.
Yeah.
At Floxy had this to say, quote, "Pink for me is such an Italian Renaissance and Mannerist color. They were truly brilliant at tinting, shading, and otherwise manipulating the primary colors to use juxtapositioned with earth tones.
Okay.
Pontormo's deposition from the cross is probably one of my favorite uses of the color pink." End quote.
I love Pontormo.
Yes.
His twisty bodies.
Yeah.
His pastel pinks that but still kind of like burn your retinas. How did he do that? How do you make a pastel pink burn your retina?
I mean, I have the same question, but also I thought you didn't like this time period.
Well, I mean, there are always artists who transcend their time period.
Okay.
Stephanie, like I mentioned The Simpsons.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then I mentioned Pontormo, and
Okay.
there are others too.
Okay, all right. Maybe we'll have to do a little slice of Pontormo in the future. Winky face. I forget which side I can do it, so we're just doing both sides.
One of those,
We're just doing both sides. Speaking of winky faces, the next painting does no winking, no está winking. Okay?
Not even sure blinking, let alone winking.
No.
So this is a stare.
Definitely. Our sitter here has some tude, okay? She's maybe falling asleep or maybe low on iron.
Or the painter is a little overly chatty, perhaps, and she's a little bit sick of it.
She looks like someone you could see in real life, right? Like you might have seen her.
Someone,
before.
yeah, in like at if Renaissance fair.
Yes, this is Portrait of a Woman from 1575 by an artist that I just discovered. I was late to the game.
No, very late to the game if you look at those numbers there.
Here we have Renaissance Mannerist, René Manny, painter Giovanni Battista Moroni. And unlike painters of his time, he didn't give us idealized, stiff as shit portraits, right? So if you had dark under eye circles, they were painted in because that's what you look like. Oh, you forgot to shave today? Scruffs included. You feeling a little painter shy, camera shy? He's going to capture that. He's going to capture that. Our sitter here, aside from her expression, has some really relatable human traits.
Okay.
Her hair is frizzy, her bushy eyebrows are uneven, and she even has some faint upper lip hair and the slightest double chin, which critics didn't care for.
They wanted the Renaissance of man, Stephanie, not the personality of a Bob Burger character.
Bob Burger.
Bob Burger.
But also, he loved using pink.
Okay.
She's wearing a high-status pink brocade dress, white ruffled lace collar, and pearl jewelry. In portraits of Isotta Brembati, she is seen wearing a ruffled white collar with periwinkle pink stitching, or pink bows throughout her hair, or even a dianthus pink and purple furry fan. And y'all, like I said, I hadn't heard of this artist before, and I'm still blown away. And the amount of pink in Moroni's oeuvre is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we've really come to a conclusion with pink. It's always been with us. It's extra spectral, but it's also just a light red. It's easily missed, but also searingly bright. It's in carotenoid producing algae, but also cartoons.
Right.
It's feminine, it's bourgeoisie, it's alien, but it's also in all of our bodies.
I'm just going to suggest that we just shrug. I think you shrug. No, wait. Let's all do it together.
Okay.
The listeners at home, you and me, let's all just shrug together, okay?
1, 2,
2, 3.
3. Well, listeners, we hope you've enjoyed this installment of this little mini color series within a podcast series. We will be covering purple or gold next. The survey will be up on this episode's website post at ArtSlicePod.com. If we've taken it down, you've missed your window.
Thanks again to Rose of Loyalty Freak Music for letting us use the song I Need to Do It to Be Alive by Soft and Furious from the album Diving in the Self, which is one of like 1,000 incredible songs they've made. You can pick it up for name your own price on Bandcamp. It's a great album, honestly. Or you can support Rose's mission to create queer, free music against capitalism and fascism on Patreon. We'll put the links in the show notes or in the YouTube stuff.
And a huge thank you to Stuart Semple for joining us. We recorded with him back in March, April, maybe.
Very patient man.
Yes.
So a lot has happened in his color laboratory since then. We recommend going to check it out at Culture Hustle, including a new pink color based on Mattel's called Pinky.
Check it all out at culturehustle.com and check out Stuart's work on his Instagram page at Stuart Semple.
Be sure to share the show with a friend, subscribe to us on YouTube, leave us a review on your pod player of choice. Thank Brian for filming the B-roll while he sweats out of his pink gloves. Or consider joining our small but excellent group of patrons over at patreon.com/ArtSlicePod so we can keep making the show. We will see you next time, listeners, on the ArtSlice Museum Division of Color Theory and Color Studies. We still don't have a sign-off. Color Pink's not dead. We'll see you next time, listeners.
Bye.
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 Bye. You can see us waving goodbye this time. Bye.